Righto. You ready?
I'm in you, hanging out here.
Righto, copy, mark it up. All right, thoroughbreds, welcome back to another episode of Penalty Broncos. I'm Britto, and I am not coming to you from the bandwagon bar this week. This week I'm in beautiful Hobart down in Tasmania, down here for the first year anniversary wedding with Mrs. Britto. But we do have Ringer online coming to us from across outback Queensland. We do not have the Langer today. He is down and out. Got a bit of a virus, probably from living up there in North Queensland. So who knows? But we're here to give you the best professional amateur opinions on the Broncos men and women. We're here to tip winners and hopefully land an early retirement. Ringer, how are we, mate? How's your week been?
Bretto, good to see you, mate. Good to see you still alive and well. And no Tasmanian Tigers have taken you from the backside in the forest down there. So, good to see you coming loud and clear from Tassie, mate. Been very good. Very busy for the last few weeks. Shipped the girls off. They're all over in the big bad town of Winton for a couple of days, seeing other grandparents and whatnot. So I'm holding the ship together here on myself. Played a little bit of golf on the weekend, mate, in on the
Cheeky.
sand greens. I was, the little things you can do when,
Yeah. Treat
and it
yourself.
had, treat myself. It was good, mate. It was good. Got sand shoes full of prickles on the old sand greens out here in Bullietown, but, we made a few pars, mate. Works great with my handicap. So, and watched a bit of footy and, had an emotional roller coaster, as I think we all know as the Broncos fans, that we all would have went through the shit on Friday night, and
Yep.
you know we come out the other side. But whether we're more impressed or disappointed with that, I don't know. But a win's a win, mate. And all we have to do is win to get into the top eight. And the Sharkies did us a great favour by giving the Dragons a nice little humping down there at Wynn Stadium. So yeah, mate, it's good to see you, and we missed you last week. I can tell you that, me and Langers. We were trying to run the ship as best as we can, and we got through it. But please don't do that to us again, ever, Britto. But yeah, thanks, mate.
No, all good, all good. You did a great job, I thought, and from the feedback that I got from the thoroughbreds, they also thought the same, which is real good. So,
They've
um,
got terrible taste. Don't listen to them.
yeah, no, well, down there we spent a couple of days on Bruny Island.
Mm.
Went down and seen a couple of old lighthouses at a winery. We did a bit of a boat cruise today, have a look at some
Oh,
seals. She was panic stations there for a bit. The wind got up and they cancelled the ferry back to the mainland, but but we
bye.
so yeah. So a bit of Port Arthur tomorrow and get out and about and see what something else. I think Mount Wellington's on the list and whatnot. So yeah, let's get into the footy. I was lucky enough to go to the game on Friday and
Mm.
witness, and I took along a work colleague. They're from England, so it was him and his missus. And this was the first Broncos game at Suncorp. They'd been there for like the World Cup soccer and whatnot, but they'd never been there for a rugby league game, and they were all excited, and so was I. And then within the first 10 minutes, I had some serious regrets.
Yeah, you weren't the best hope in the first 15, best host in the first 15 minutes. Is that?
Oh,
Uh,
mate, and even they sensed that it was a bit of an awkward moment sort of thing. But thankfully we came back and we gave them a bit of a classic Broncos sort of finish there at the end. So
mm.
they thoroughly enjoyed the night, regardless, and commented on how great the ever awesome Suncorp Stadium is. So I'll punch on with the main stats just to get us kicking off here. So we were at Suncorp Friday night, 36,000 roughly turned up, which was a good turnout. Half time, it was 12 to 16 to the Eels. Luckily, we did score them two tries late in the half,
Mm.
4 minutes and 31 minutes and 34 minutes, Sailor and Rogers, so that was good. Second half ended up being 18-8 to the Broncos for a full-time score of 30-24. Broncos win. Um, it did seem like we just had totally turned off, I guess, in the first 10 minutes. They just
Oh,
ran park footy. I wouldn't even call it park footy. I'd call it a training run, with a bit of a resistance, and the halfback had a bib on for no contact, that sort of stuff. And then we sort of switched it back on again. I've got in my notes here the when Renault went forward and tried to put a bit of effort in to regather the kick and hurt it looked like he got hurt from Sivo. It looked like he'd had enough and he was pissed and he's like, "Come on, like I need to motivate these boys and show them what to do and lead by example." And then after that, it kind of I noticed that the meters stopped flowing for the Eels and then all of a sudden we started scoring points. And then the only other time we really dropped off again was when Sean Lane went over in the 71st minute and then again shut that down and finish the game out, sort of thing. So, what's your initial thoughts on the game, mate?
Yeah, Britto, it was so frustrating watching them just walk through us in that first 15 minutes. As a fan, you go, okay, boys, we know the last however many weeks have been do or die, and this is definitely do or die now. This is literally the last chance, and they come out and put the first 10 minutes out, and you go, well, do you even deserve to have a crack at it? And then
Yep.
what was so strange though is that once the switch was flicked, we never looked out of control of that game.
Yeah.
We were making meters at will. We were stripping them for numbers. We were enthusiastic. We were pinning them down in their own end. Renault was putting on a clinic with his kicking game. Like one call, especially while we were going terrible. Gutho was about in row 2 when he flicked that ball in for that 40-20, and no one decided to. Anyway, and we didn't deserve the call at that time, but it's the sort of shit that gives you the shits when you're watching them and you're going. I'm watching from a 40-meter away camera angle, and I can see he stood on that line as he threw that ball back in, and there was literally not a replay, not a questioning of it until they were 3 tackles in, and then I think one of the commentators went, "Oh, I think he stepped out there." It's like, yeah, everyone's seen that, and it was, it's something like that when at that time the momentum was shifting, and you think, well, do we beat them by 20 if that sort of went in our way? But a bad start's not going to do us any good moving forward, mate. Even this weekend for the Battle of Brisbane, you'd hope, being a game of such significance for the town, that we won't turn up slow, because you do not want to turn up slow with players like Hammer and Herbie getting around. So, but yeah, mate, I think it was really encouraging. I really think Josh Rogers has turned the corner as backup half. Like, he's really figured out his role now. It's not. He's not the creator. He just takes his runs when it's not on, and if he's got support, he shovels it, and it seems to be working. And like, he's got that sort of Tyson Gamble-esque. He's got that effort in him where he always seems to be chasing. He's always pushing forward. He's a big body in defence. He doesn't get run over. I was really happy with him, mate. And we started using our second rows for a change every now and then, and it, just spread the defence enough for us to get through. Tristan didn't drop a ball. He was brilliant at the back and threw some silky passes for some prize there. So, that's the Tristan we've been hoping and wanting to see all year. So, yeah, they're so same as always, mate. You don't want to bag any. You hate bagging the boys, but that first 15 minutes, if we were playing Melbourne, they could have had 30 on us in that first 15. The way that they were walking on up the field. But on the positive side, when we decided to play football, we never looked in doubt of winning that game. So, and if we can sneak into that 8, mate, and the switch is flicked, there's no doubt in my mind we can give some of these top teams an absolute terrible pain in the guts. Like, when we turn it on, there's just no team at the moment that has that flair.
Yeah.
Even the Roosters, even Melbourne, like, they're very good, but even the Titans at times strip the Roosters. So, they're nowhere near the attacking force that we are. So, it's all positive, mate. And hopefully the boys just decide the 15-minute warm-up happens before the game, not during the game this weekend coming.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one. And like you said though, just looking at the time slots of when we did score, so Christian went over in the 31st minute, Josh Rogers went over in the 34th.
Yeah.
You know, that's one set later. Let's go straight down. Um, Adam Reynolds crossed. I know it was via an intercept, but he crossed in the 65th minute. 67th minute, Katoni Stagg finds it as
Yeah.
well. You know, so it's that kind of bang bang that not a lot of teams can put together,
Ah,
and we can
exactly.
put it together pretty quickly if we actually want to, sort of thing. So I do have a bit of a stats though when it comes to the second rowers. I was fiddling through the stats on Saturday
Yeah.
before we flew out, and I did notice a few things. So we'll get to that later when we cover stats. It's a little bit interesting. Um, but just for the overall stats, I'll run through them real quick and just point out a few things. So possession was 52% to the Eels, so they got us there. You got your wish, mate. 84% completion rate. Buddy, look at that!
Yeah,
Look at
we're
that!
back up. Finally, the first time this year I've asked for a completion rate, and we've actually won. Every time we've completed 83, we lose the game. So,
That's
but
it.
yeah, ball security, mate. We didn't drop the ball at the back. Tristan held every bomb. It made a huge difference.
Yeah, in saying that as well, Tristan, it did start out. I mean, I know we scored a couple, we let a couple through real quick there, and I didn't really get a chance to see if it was Tristan's fault or whose fault it was, but I thought he was in for a bit of a slow night, and thankfully he came alive there at the end.
Mm.
He proper turned it on. So the big one here, I've got a couple on. So line breaks, we got them 6-2,
Mm.
and then tackle breaks 41-25.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, and a lot of that came from Cobbo. I think Cobbo,
Oh, mate,
he had a few. He had a lot. So
very proud of that. Very proud of Selwyn for going through what he had to go through,
yeah,
and you know, as awful as that is, and there's obviously there hasn't been zero media come out about what actually happened there, but read between the lines, there was an accusation, and then obviously it's been squashed. But
yeah,
he come out and really, he really had a crack, and I was really happy to see that. Like, he was running with intent. He was using his size. He was a threat. No matter where he got the ball. If it was on our 10, it looked like if he pushed one fella off, it could have been length of the field. And that's
yeah,
what we need from him. But I was really, really proud of the way that he bounced back from that sort of
yeah.
pressure as a young kid. So hopefully, mate, all that's behind him now and we can move forward. But yeah, he was definitely, the tackle breaks wise, he was dangerous. Him
Yeah.
and Katoni, I think, really bumped those stats up.
I did notice at the field, and then Mrs. Britto also when I got home. As soon as I got home, she mentioned it. He did look flat when he wasn't on the ball, and he really did. Like something is on that kid's mind.
Yeah,
So
obviously.
he got the footy. He did his job, and then once that was over, he sort of just went back and sort of I feel for him. He'd have some head noise going on, and I want to tip my hat to the Broncos. The fact that nothing has got out.
Oh, mate.
So whether or not something has happened and whether or not something hasn't happened, we don't know purely because the Broncos and their admin and their security around that information has been just airtight.
But
And I applaud them.
in my opinion, zero things must have happened, or
Yeah,
we wouldn't be putting him on the field.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It'd be a no fault stand down policy, and that'd be the end of it.
yep,
So the
yep,
fact that he ran on and the way that we do things at that club, I'm pretty confident that that would be the end of the issue, and hopefully that's true. But you know, but like you said, it is such a compliment to the club that, and even the NRL, really, that if it is a vexatious claim, we haven't seen the light of it. You know what I mean? And it could have been a lot worse. And we're really all hoping and praying that it's not true because we don't need that. If it is true, boot him. I don't care how good
yeah,
he is. But
yeah. That's it. That's
like
it.
so. But yeah, it was good to see him having some good cracks, mate. And that's good insight. Being there, seeing that he was, there's still head noise there, poor kid. But yeah,
Yeah. Um, Moving on with the stats. Broncos had 743 kicking meters, which 709 of them came from Adam.
Yeah.
That was a season high stat for him.
Yeah.
I think the closest that he got was low 600s previously. And then, interestingly enough, I went back and had a look at his average stats, even when he was with South. And there wasn't a lot punching over that 500, 600 for average. And what he's sitting at the moment, even though he's played next to no games this season, he's still pretty high up in that average for the season.
Okay.
It's good to see. 17 offloads from the Eels compared to our 6.
Yeah,
So
that
they
was
hustled us a bit
something
there.
that is something we need to address. And I know they have got some very good offloaders in their team, but
Yeah.
we can't let top teams do that to us, or we will be in terrible trouble. We need to lock that ball up. But I think a lot of that was in the first 15 when they were just running through us and we had no intensity, and then in the last 15 when they were chasing points. So, that could be a bit skewed, that stat. But, yeah, that is something definitely we need to look at.
Yep. We did very well with our tackling. Both teams were up there around the 85% effective tackles. We made a touch more. We made about 5 sets more, but that, obviously coming from that beginning that we had, probably got skewed there as well. But missed tackles, so we only recorded 25 missed tackles to the Eels 41. It was good to see. And then we had a lot more ineffective tackles than the Eels, which is telling me that our cover defence and whatnot was sort of getting a bit of a workout there. Now the errors ended up being pretty even throughout most of the stats. But in saying that, they might have been even, but they were still high. And a good team, if we come up the Eels are examples of that the last couple of weeks. They smash into good teams, and then they just make errors that just compound, and then the good teams just find a way to get back into the game. So it'll be the same for us if we sort of come up against someone decent, like if the Storm are full strength, for example, next round. So
and let's not forget that the Eels did take Penrith right to the wire.
Yeah.
Even though where they are, their last couple of weeks of footy have been very good. But 13 errors is just, that's our Achilles heel at the minute too. But we'll move past that, mate. We've been talking about it for as long as we've been talking about this podcast. So I'm sure if they don't listen by now, we're not listening at all. So
that's it. And just for the listeners, when I do the overall errors, it is a bit weird because you'll do errors and it's 13 to 13, but then you go down through the individuals and there's a lot more errors that come out. So I really don't know what the NRL count as errors. They've got penalties conceded, ruck infringements and all that sort of stuff, but it still doesn't work out math-wise. So the math ain't mathin', but anyway, just take that with a grain of salt, and then as we go through the individual player stats, you'll get a sense of what actually is down.
Errors must nearly have to be handling errors by those numbers.
It's got to be, hey. It has to be.
Yeah, look at that team player errors and it adds up to more, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So, just for the top performing, so from each team, most tackles, Brendan Hands for the Eels on 48. Paddy Carrigan tackled his dick off with 53.
Again.
Most run meters, Joe Offengowie got 174 out. Patrick Carrigan, 215. I don't think I've had to delete Paddy's name from most run meters for quite a few weeks now.
No.
It keeps
just pencil him in. Most tackles, most meters, just pencil him in. Yeah, he is the best forward in rugby league at the moment. They can throw whatever name they want at me at the moment. I don't give a shit who you are. In a team that has been struggling all year, he is every week. Most good forwards are either, making the tackles or making the run meters. Paddy's doing both. Like over 200 meters and 53 tackles. Like, get fucked. Like, there's no one else doing that sort of numbers. So he's the best forward in rugby league. I don't care who they put up.
Yeah, that's it. And it's not even an argument with who's the most consistent. He's the best and he's the most consistent, and that's what makes him dangerous.
Yeah, and he plays 80 minutes. Don't give a shit.
So we'll move into the back line now with some of the stats. And I mainly do want to cover just the Broncos stuff
Yeah,
because a lot of it, the Eels did beat us by just a little bit or whatnot, but it was more just to point out individual brilliance. So the back line, 672 run meters, 188 of those was Tristan
yeah,
Sailor. Then there's five line breaks, two line break assists, one try assist. Tristan got two line breaks on his own, one line
yeah.
break assist, and one try assist as well.
Mm.
So he's punching up those tackles. Tackle breaks was 27 to 11 from our back line. So and that came from, like I said before, there was 11 from Cobbo,
Yeah.
just in his own
11 from
right.
Cobo, 8 from Katoni. It's like, goodbye.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the boys were fucking on one once they got the ball. Like,
Yeah, that's it. Another thing I noticed about Cobbo as well, with that Sailor try when he ran around Gutho, he was gassed. I know he done a couple of runs and whatnot beforehand, and he did try it, but he just gave up. And I think Tristan looked for him, and he wasn't there, and he's like, "Oh well, put the accelerator down. I've got to
yeah,
go." And yeah, like thankfully he got around, and to be honest, Gutho looked like he was stuck in the mud because he did
yeah,
not move. Yeah, I know Sailor's fast, but I don't think he's that fast. But
yeah, yeah. I
anyway,
don't think he expected him to be that quick, to be
yeah,
fair. I'm like,
yeah,
he's probably been watching the same Tristan that we've been watching for the last 6 weeks. Like, oh no, I've got him covered, and then all of a sudden, bye.
yeah, that's it. But it was good to see Sailor back to a bit of a
Oh,
highlight reel. It was
mate, if
yeah,
he pulls that form on when he goes to England,
oh
oh, good luck.
yeah, man of
Fucking
steel
good.
coming up.
He'll be 12 months and he'll be back in NRL.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep. And then one thing I've got written here: 16 total errors for our backs versus 16 for their backs.
Yeah.
And like we can't sugarcoat that with a win. You
No.
know, we get torn up. We're going up against somebody in the and we are sitting first in errors as well
Yeah.
by a long shot. I think like there's about 50 errors between us and second place.
Yeah.
And then second, third, and fourth are like within a couple of errors from each other, sort of thing. So, yeah, we're up there.
Mm.
Moving on to the halves, and like you said, Josh Rogers, he's starting to really do a good job as a reserve 5'8", a reserve
Mm.
half, really. So he's coming up, but we smoked them there a bit thanks to Renault's foot, and that can't be slept on either. Adam Reynolds was it 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
18 total points came from our halves alone. They each scored a try, and then Renault went on and kicked 10 points. So love that from us.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Renault not missing. It it really gives you confidence, doesn't it? Because if you go up in sixes, you can put hurt on teams
Yeah,
when you can score points as quick as we do. Like, at one stage, it was, I think it was, what was it, 16-12 or whatever. And then in a blink of an eye, we were 16 points in front just
yeah,
from the sake, just from, I think it was a penalty and two tries or whatever it was. It was like, oh shit, like
yeah,
goodbye.
yeah.
It was such a quick turnaround.
And it's not like they were easy kicks. He had them from in front.
No,
He had them
they
from the side.
got
He
it
had them from each
everywhere.
side. Yeah, it was really good. And that'll be in the plan in the back of teams' minds that 75th minute you might be down by 12. You might be up by 12 against the Broncos, but that doesn't mean anything. So
No, exactly.
yeah, but again, 6 errors to 6 errors. So we were even with the Eels, but
Mm.
6 errors is still a lot. Moving on to the front row or the forward pack, sorry. And this is where I do have a little bit of a stat, bit of a nerd out coming at you. So if we run through the stats real quick, Broncos all run 67 versus 88 from the Eels. Our run meters was 553 versus 713 from the
Cool.
Eels, so we get beaten there. Post contact meters 223 versus 285. We get beaten again. Then it's 0 line breaks, 0 break assists, 0 try assists for both teams. Tackle breaks 11 for the Eels versus our 8. Tackles made 189 for the Eels. We made 230. A little bit more work going on there. Tackles missed, we won that one with 19-21. Ineffective tackles, though, we had 13 and they had 4. So, read that how you were. Now, they made 12 errors versus our 6.
Yeah.
So now that we know those sort of things, I was like, oh, well, I started having a look at the runs from our second row. It's like maybe we use them in defense, but it wasn't even a standout stat there either. So Jensen and Carrigan had 43 runs, and the other 4 members of the pack, that included Walters, made 24 runs.
Yeah.
Then they had 360 run meters. That's Jensen and Carrigan. The rest made 193. They had 136 post-contact meters. The rest had 87.
Yeah.
Jensen and Carrigan are out there punching meters up, and I was like, that's fine. We all know that the Panthers, what they use, maybe they're, they like to use their big boppers for tackling and use the outside backs for running. Maybe we're running a different system here. We want our big boppers just running the ball up and then use everyone else for tackling, sort of thing. But then I went and had a look at the tackles. Jensen and Carrigan made 52 tackles and 53 tackles each, so 105 combined. Yeah. The rest made 125.
Yeah,
So,
and that stat's even skewed by Xavier Wilson, who made 37.
Yes. Yep.
You're dead right. We've got 2 blokes at the moment that are absolutely holding those forwards on their shoulders. And I don't know. I can't see whether it's a game plan or whether it's. But something needs to change. We had Billy Walters. I think he took 1 run.
Yeah, for 9 meters.
How do we get any momentum when we know that Paddy and Corey can take those big runs, and even Jordan, whoever gets on their front, someone from dummy half needs to get out of dummy half and take a scoot for God's sake and take some pressure off Paddy.
Yeah. No, I really, it frustrates me because Piakura and Ricky, absolute guns, and we're just not utilising them, and I do wonder why.
We're not using them at all, and then in stages, like when we did give them some ball, they look good, they can
score tries,
and it's very odd how we do not use those 2 big, huge humans out on the edge.
I'm not sure what we're doing with Ricky and that.
It's
tough.
disappointing.
Hopefully they let them off a bit of a leash this game, because they are coming up against a team that really does utilise their front row to their second rowers. So it'll be interesting to see what the go there is. But anyway, moving on to the bench stats, pretty overall happy with the bench again. We made more runs, made more run meters. We had 193 versus 113. Post contact meters was pretty huge, 79-52. Made less tackles, made less missed tackles. We had 2 missed tackles to 4, which was good. And the errors were really low too from both benches. We had 1 error for us and then 2 for the Eels. So
I think Marty ended up with 1 error. I think it was Marty.
Yeah.
But he made 47 post contact meters.
Yep.
Marty's been very good off our bench, and I've said it before, but he's been in a team full of players that can lose their heads. He's been a good stalwart coming off there, really settling things down and just doing his job. So once again, Marty, thank you.
Yeah, I reckon he almost deserves a 1 more year contract.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just back to the stats I was saying before about the run-on guys, Marty made more run than the run-on 4 that I spoke about before.
Yep.
He made 103 meters, and like you said, with 47, which was more than the other 4.
Yep.
So he's going out there, he's doing a job better than what the guys who are running on are doing. He's playing some decent minutes too, as in not blowing them out the park, but he's coming on, having a hefty swing, and coming off sort of thing. So,
36 minutes he played, so
yeah,
he's only playing a half of football, and that must be what's pulling someone like Xavier down because Xavier played 42,
Yep.
but he made 37 tackles in that 42 minutes, but he didn't take the run. So maybe maybe they're using him as a defensive, because
Yeah.
he's pretty handy. He doesn't miss tackles,
Yeah.
and he's obviously someone that we could unleash. And when you haven't got Payne there, Xavier off the bench is a different role, isn't it? Like
Yep.
big young throbber, send him at him and try and bust some tackles. Whereas when you got to run on, whether you just give him a little bit more of a conservative role, and maybe that's what happened. But yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I thought
Marty.
Mose was good, mate. From the bench, I thought he was bloody.
Yep.
Once again, he's solid as a rock.
Yep.
He pushes that line up. So
Yeah. Marty made 16 tackles with 0 missed,
there you go.
1 unaffected. So love
Do,
that.
do you think there's a case there then for Marty's to start with Corey and leave Xavier on the bench as that impact prop? So because we don't need the run meters because we have Paddy and Corey. Do you leave the big young thoroughbred on the pine and say, okay, when
Yeah,
we
no.
pull Marty off, you've got a fucking real handful on your hands coming on. Like, whereas when we pull Xavier off, as good as Marty is, they've seen him before.
Yeah. Maybe it's coming. Maybe Kevy's coming from a paces. We'll put Xavier on because he is young, he is fresh. He'll handle that start of the game if they want to start
Yeah,
fast. But when we bring Marty on, he's not going to put the foot off on the brake sort of thing. He's going to keep that same consistency running through.
yeah,
And so it's not exactly you go up a step, but you maintain that intensity. And
rage.
he can
Yeah,
do that for a little bit. Then old mate gets a rest. He comes on and
mm.
he whacks into him again. So that could be the way that maybe Kevy's looking at it. Thoroughbred of the match, I think the panel went Carrigan and Staggs
yeah,
for their efforts. The fan came in with Cobbo, which was good. So it was good to see fans getting around the young fellow with his first game back. And then just a quick shout out was Renault with his kicking ability and his just little general attitude. And
yeah,
I love seeing him. And it's going to stick with him probably. But when he did that intercept and he took off, all I could think about was when he was back at South and everyone used to say rabbit run
yeah, yeah. I
because
know.
he
It's just
he dead set looks like a little rabbit skipping across the
yeah,
ground.
yeah. Short legs and bloody go your best, son. But you got to put yourself in those positions, and he's so good at that. When he can, if he sniffs that little out the back offload, he's in
Yep.
it, didn't he? Little shit. So
Yep.
yeah, good to see him streak down the field.
No, it was good. So out of that game, I believe the only injury we had was Kobe.
Yeah,
He's out with the concussion protocol. And interestingly enough, we'll see it in the extended bench, but Payne Haas is back from a Liz Frank injury, which I thought is really strange.
very.
Surely they're not going to play him this week, and surely you wouldn't bring him back for the Dolphins. If it was a Storm, maybe a different story, but surely you don't bring him back.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because like is why would you put him on the extended bench at all if it was a
Yeah,
risk? You know what I mean? If it was an it's a tough one because it's thrown me completely because why would you have him there at all? Why
yep,
wouldn't you just write him off? Like there's 100 other forwards we could have put on that extended bench. So why is he there? Is it purely is it a sleight of hand, Penn and Teller sort of a game by Kevy saying, "Oh, we might bring Payne on." I just don't. I have no idea. Like he's sitting just beside the cuck chair of poor old Corey Pates. So
yeah, yep, yeah. It's a
um,
bit weird.
yeah, I don't know. You hope they don't risk him, but I suppose it's do or die from now until the end of the year. So
We'll move on to the team list and the upcoming game. I'll quickly run through them. So I don't really have much in the way of stat comparison sort of thing. The Dolphins have been like the little engine that could, I guess you could say. but they do seem to be running out of a bit of steam as it comes to the back end of the season. We'll be taking them on at Suncorp. As far as I'm concerned, it's a home game. Saturday at 5:30 coming up. Broncos, the last time we went 3 wins in a row was round 6, 7 and 8. And that was against the Dolphins, the Raiders and the Tigers. So hopefully we can do it again to keep the season alive. We seem to be tracking pretty well on the roadmap that I've put together. I have seen a couple of different ways that we can get into the 8. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So obviously the Sharkies helped us big time. The Panthers may have let us down with the way that the Storm have rested 10 players up against the Gronk's Cowboys. So we might be in for a hell of a time next week. Or they're going to swap them. You know, whoever plays this week, they'll swap the rest out next week, sort of thing.
The Cowboys could still shit the bed.
They could definitely still shit the bed. And this game, Dolphins v us, is still critical for both teams. So we're both in the fight. Tied for 9th, but they're for and against have us higher than them. So it is, it's still up there. The Dolphins still have plenty to fight for, and they could very well still make the 8. So as I said, tail of the tape position, we're 9th versus 10th of the Dolphins. Head to head, we've had the luxury of winning all 3 that we've played them. Their completion rate sitting at 80%, which is a smidge higher than our 76%. Tackle efficiency, though, they're both about the same, 87.2. Wins this season, we're sitting on 10 apiece. And the venue win rate, 58%, favours the Broncos over 47% for the Dolphins. We last met them back at round 10. It was, maybe not. But it was a 28-14 win for us. Possession there was a bit interesting. They had 54% possession, but the Eels game showed that we don't exactly need all the ball.
We don't need the ball.
Yeah. Completion rate was tied 67%, and then our tackle efficiency, though, was a much better Bronco performance at 91%. The last 5 games for each team, we had wins over the Eels, Cowboys, with losses to the Titans, Bulldogs, and then 5 games back we had that win over the Knights. And the Dolphins have had a loss against the Storm, loss against the Bulldogs, a win over the Warriors, loss against the Roosters, and a loss against the Titans. So like I said, they really are running out of steam coming into the back end, and it's starting to show the injuries that that they have been facing. So in the team list, we've got the Hammer up against Tristan Saylor for the fullback roles. Jermaine Azarko, who I believe is the best to ever get dropped by the Broncos, up against Selwyn Cobbo. Jake Averillo versus Katoni Staggs. Herbie Farmworth up against Dean Mariner. That'll be actually a very interesting matchup if they are on the same side of that field. Or, even better, Katoni versus Herbie will be...
Yeah, I think you'd be silly not to put Herbie on Katoni, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And that will be a great matchup if Katoni brings his form.
Yeah, and I'll say it again. I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. Katoni is in red hot form, and I'm here for it. He is chopping people and he is punching people. It's great. Jack Bostock is on the wing up against Jesse Arthurs. Sean O'Sullivan comes in at 6 there, up against Josh Rogers. Isaiah Katoa at 7 against Adam Reynolds. In the forwards, we've got apparently Kenneth Bromwich up against Corey Jensen. Maxi Plath, another one that got missed by the Broncos, up against Billy Walters.
Next year's Queenslander on the bench.
Yeah. Marky Nichols comes up against Xavier Willison.
Captaining the side, Mark Nichols.
Yeah. Good on him. Shout out. Kafusi is coming up against Brennan Piakura. And then Lemu Lemu up against Jordan Ricky, with Ray Stone up against Patrick Carrigan. On the interchange, they've got Mason Teague, we've got Blake Moser, Keeley for them, and noticeable in is Benjamin Takora. So he's been sitting on number 18 there for a couple of rounds, and Billy's decided with the Kobe concussion that he gets a run. Tessie New sitting at 16th up against Josiah Carapini, and Kurt Donahue up against Martin Tapau, with 18th men being Lachlan Hubner and Jaden Hunt. So, yeah, Ringer, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, mate. It's interesting team list, and you know the run on side for the Dolphins is formidable. We can all agree that, and you know what Wayne's going to do to try and get them to knock us out of the finals because it's their chance to move up.
Yep.
So it's going to be an absolute, you know, could be an absolute epic. I think the one place we might have an advantage is on the bench between, Mason Teague's a good player, going to be a good player, but but between Keeley, Tessinu, and Kurt O'Donoghue, I think Takura, Karapini, and Moser and Marty sort of might have the edge there if we come on. The only the only part I'm a little bit worried about is not having Kobe there to shore up that middle
Yep.
in defence. But um, being a 5:30 game on a Saturday afternoon, which we traditionally fucking hate, defence might not be the order of the day. It might be an all out assault, which will reflect my betting later. But yeah, there's some great matchups, mate. No matter who plays who, if Selwyn and Jermaine go head to head, or if they swap even Bostock and Cobbo versus Isako and Arthur's, gonna be some great matchups in the backs there. Like really top notch stuff. Um, Adam Reynolds, the old half, versus Isaiah Katoa, emerging as probably the best young half coming through in the league at the moment. So terrified of him,
Yep.
Britto, but I think we can just with what's the word? Just with like home ground dominance and momentum, whereas like the poor old Dolphins have started to fall into a heap. Like if they would have won one game earlier on, we wouldn't even be in the conversation. It'd be
Yep.
them. So
Yep.
and we got that win last weekend. We've got the win the weekend before. So I think we do them, and it will be. It's their home game, on the score sheet, but it's going to be our home game. So
Yeah.
I think we'll get over top of them, mate. But it's going to be a great game. It really is. Like we
Yeah.
all know, it's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, it'll be Jermaine Azako's boot up against Renault as well. So
Yeah,
there's a
exactly.
bit on the little general's plate there. But I'm with you. I think we start fast. I think Walters gets them up for this one.
Yeah,
It's a derby. It's a local derby, Battle of Brisbane. This is our home. Katoni Stags running red hot. I think we'll get
yeah,
hopefully anyway 13 plus.
yeah. That reflects my bet very well.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll move on to the women's game. Now, unfortunately, I have only watched the KO mini of this. I was in the air and travelling to Bruny Island while it was going on, and over at Bruny, there's not much in the way of reception. They kind of get ignored like the rest of most of Australia with Telstra.
Yeah. Yes.
But what I did do, while I was watching the mini, I did write down a couple of notes, but I'll throw it over to you once I'm done there, Ringer, to sort of run us through that game. But first of all, I'd like to give a shout out to Brianna Clark for being our first player to follow the page and the podcast on Instagram. So she specifically liked that little reel where you were talking about Julia's try, Superwoman try. So yeah, thanks Brianna for the follow and thanks for the support.
Thank you, Brianna. Tell your mates.
Yeah, tell everyone, bring them around. So, from what I've seen of the game, though, it was probably a little bit similar to the men. I guess early on, Tigers ran in a couple of tries there, and we were on the back foot, and we slowly steered the ship in the right direction, and ended up putting a fair bit on them. So, Romy Tizell, great with the boot, 6 out of 8. Like you said, it's great to go up in sixes, and that's what the girls did. And it also seemed like a great team effort. We had points coming from the outside backs. We had points coming from both halves, and then there was a couple of points coming from the forwards as well, especially the bench. So it did seem like everyone sort of stood up really well and got us back into the game and shot us from 7th on the ladder up to 2nd. So how did you see it?
Yeah, Britto. I was a bit like you, mate. Had a bit on Sunday morning, and then when I come in to start watching the game, it was 14-6 to the Tigers, and panic stations had hit. I was like, "Oh God, girls, don't do this to me." We've already gone through this with the men's NRL team, but oh mate, once we started um, putting things together, unstoppable. It was a clinic actually. Once the women started, putting the things on. Um, Julia Robinson again was great. One try, a try assist in a game where we scored 44 points. Melee had no tries or try assists.
Yep.
Like, so it's good to have that weapon in the duffel bag ready to go. She only played 53 minutes. It was great to see Ali go over and score a try. But mate, it was really once we clicked into gear, you can see why the Broncos have won so many
Yep.
premierships. Like, it just looked like a well-oiled machine, and there didn't look like to be any answers from the Tigers. Once again, I think Keely Joseph played a huge role. 124 meters, 38 post contact with 30 tackles with one miss only. And I want to give a little shout out here to the number 15, which has a lot of Hamale Olakawatu vibes, I reckon. Tafido Lafale, 30 minutes, scored a try, took 11 runs for 129 metres, 46 post contact with 7 tackle breaks. This girl is the new face of women's forwards in the game, and we are so lucky to have her playing for Team Broncos because, mate, she was electric. At times she'd get standing starts and she would just be shrugging players and then either creating offloads or creating fast play of the balls. And whenever she got the ball, things were happening, and that's why I compared to like Hamale. You watch Hamale play, and he can get the ball from a standing start, and he puts a fend out, and you think they could score a try off the back of this, and that's exactly how Tafido. So that's a huge shout out for me, mate. If we can keep her in the 17, I think we may have an X factor that could really set us apart from the rest of the competition. But yeah, mate, the girls done incredibly well. I think our forward pack was really tight. But yeah, it was great to see once we clicked into gear what we were expecting to see from the start of the season. And I
Yep.
think the girls are a red hot shot
Yeah,
at,
nice.
at the flag again. So
Yeah, nice, nice. I did see the I think it was a Haley Maddock try in the second half
mm,
there. Uh, Friend of the show, Brianna Clark, made a couple
mm,
of tackle busts and a nice little offload as she was supporting, so that was good to see. I did notice as well, I think it was the Tigers' first try. It was a pretty good little flick pass from one of their front rowers for that try. So again, like the levels of the women's game is just coming leaps and bounds. I'm
oh,
excited. I'm excited to see how it goes from here on in.
and some of the setups for our tries when we were on top,
Yeah,
it's bloody good viewing. Like
yeah,
it's good watching, especially as a Broncos fan, I suppose, in that sort of a game. But it's definitely so much better watching than so many other women's sports. So it's a real credit to our NRLW women
yeah.
that they're really putting on a show this year, and it's only going to elevate the game so much.
Yeah, and it's good to see on social media as well. A lot more people talking about it.
Definitely, yeah.
In circles where it was normally dominated by the men's game, it's starting. NRLW players are starting to get name by name. And people are starting to talk about them and what they're doing. So it's good.
But just a quick one to the social media teams for the NRLW squads. We want more montages of those tries like we get for the
Oh,
men's game.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that, and I think that's the difference at the moment between the advertising is that you watch the game and you see some greatness, and you can go on K or whatever you want to watch and watch the highlights. You're not seeing it on socials. We need
Yeah.
to see those compilations put up on social so we can all share them and
Yeah.
get it out there. Um, but yeah, because some of the like little flick pass offloads and stuff that just happen off the cuff, it's you if you put a 30-second montage together, mate, it'd
Yeah.
blow the like you want to talk about taking them to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Start doing the montages now and pumping it into the market because when we've got the best product on the planet, so we
Yeah.
need to showcase it.
And I made a comment. I've been watching a bit of the Titans Frontline, so the podcast there by BKR Sports and Clarkey and whatnot. And they made a comment about the Cowboys because the Titans went up there and played the Cowboys, and they were sort of having a crack at the Townsville people for not turning out to watch the girls. And I had to make a comment. I was like, is it really Townsville's fault? The girls ran out at 12:45, and then the men ran out on the same day at 5:30.
Yeah, exactly.
And they got 17,000 to the players, whereas they only got 1,000 to the women's. I was like, that's not Townsville's fault. They're not going to come back 4 hours later for another game. Smack them together, make it a curtain raiser. You get 17,000 for both games. Because I know people in Townsville, they want to support the women. It's absolutely no shout, but
Mate, and especially regional stadiums like Townsville.
yeah,
In that
yep,
17,000 that go, there would at least be 5 or 6,000 that would have made the trip, especially for the game. So
yep,
if you could have rolled another game into that experience,
yep,
well, it's just a win, isn't it? And I don't know what they obviously must be contract something. I don't know that they sign with us, either the stadiums or whatnot. I don't know what they do, but
yep,
they're doing it wrong.
yeah,
Put
yeah,
if you've got a double header, put the women's game just before the men's, like a pre-game. You will and share the ticket. I don't care what you do, make it happen like that. So if I buy a ticket, it's 1,400 and something kilometres from here to Townsville. If I drive up there to watch, if the Broncos go up there and I can watch the Broncos women's game beforehand, I'm going to take my family and my girls to go and watch that game beforehand
yeah,
because it's a 2-for-1 special. Like I just don't see why that's so hard to do. Make the ticket price dearer. I don't care if I
yeah,
get two products in the same ticket. I don't care. Just
yeah.
do that.
That's exactly it. So anyway, I'd love for somebody to explain it because there's probably a reason, but I can't see
There
it.
must be a reason, but can someone please say why?
Yeah, that's it. We'll move on to the upcoming game, and it's against the Gronks women up
Ooh.
there. I think we are at home. Yeah, we are. Totally
Yeah,
worth
we are.
Stadium Sunday 1:45 kickoff. We've only versed the Cows once before, and we won that one, which was good. And that was last year, and it was a 40-12, bit of a thumping.
Mm.
This season, though, the last 5 games, I think we've got 3 wins apiece.
Mm.
The only difference is that we're coming off back-to-back-to-back wins. The Cows started with a loss, a win, a loss, and then they've gone back-to-back. So they're actually they're probably the surprise team from what I can gather from last year.
Yeah.
This year, they're probably the most well trained, I guess, and developed from last year. So it'll be interesting to see. This could be a good test of where they actually are. So obviously we've lost against the Eels and the Roosters, and we had wins against Titans, Raiders, Tigers. However, the Cows have gone a loss to the Sharks, which remain undefeated, top of the table, sure.
Mm.
Dragons was a 38-34 point scoring effort. And then they went down to the Eels after that. But then they had a 1 point win over the Titans, last year's premiers.
Mm.
And then 28-18 over the Raiders, which
Mm.
ended up beating 28-22. So this could be a really interesting matchup. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. Team lists, and once again, you women do not make this easy trying to name. I thought the men were difficult, but holy! So Apologies if I butcher any of these, but we've got Hayley Maddock coming up against Christy Blackwell, Julia Robinson up against Nia Corey, I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Melly Hafunga coming up against Whitfield. Shanae Shasolski up against Jasmine Peters.
Once again, Shanae, we've reached out once before. Please clear up your back name, please. There's
Love
so many fucking letters in that do not live together. So please,
and we don't even know if the commentators are saying it right as well. So that's
no, yeah, exactly, yeah. Stay guessing.
Stacey Walker coming up against Lippy Surha, Gail Broughton up against Tillette, Brigginshaw up against Dib. Then in the forwards, we've got Brandon Clark coming up against Harden, Ferguson up against Mansell Mann, Leonard Doozy up against Butler, Rapana and Palada, I think it is, China Palada. Romitato up against Tiana Rough Strand Smith. And then Keely Joseph coming up against Bree Chester. On the interchange, we've got Destiny Brill, who played a great game as well, from what I could see, against Faye Fui. Then we got Lafeli up against Peacock, Lavina Gould up against Muka, and then returning on the bench,
Returning.
Aneta, Claudia, Reg Reagan, Na'a Usula, coming up against
Yeah, boy.
Shania Power.
If that's not a matchup for the ages, just on team lists alone,
Yeah.
Norsala against Power, well, we're in big trouble.
It is interesting that Aneta has had to come back through the interchange after that. I know she's had a bit of game time off and whatnot, but it just shows that the other girls really have stood up and got in the way of her getting back her jersey. So that'll be a good little punch coming from the bench, I thought. And I'm
Definitely.
excited. I think the Broncos get this one done. I think it might be close, though. I'm going to go probably a 1-12 on this one.
Yeah, Britto, I'm a bit the same, mate. Like, we need to play very well and not take this as a given because any team with a Blackwell, a Jakaya Whitfield, and Emma Manselman,
Yep.
who I'm pretty sure was on the bench for the Queensland team, like you can't take them by chance, and especially a hungry team that has been playing well as a recent expansion club, and just the pure Broncos Cowboys dynamic that plays in these games. Yeah, we can't go to sleep on these girls because we will get our pants pulled down. So, I think the girls will. I think the women will get the job done, but I think it's dangerous, and I'm with you. I've actually got like at 275, they've got the cows. I'd love to know what the line is because if it's north of 13, I think that's as good as a bet as that you can get. Like I'm with you as a 1-12 sort of a game, just because that we haven't been starting real well, and when we put things together, we're unstoppable. But it just depends on whether we put them together against a team that will be definitely up for the occasion. So
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be a beauty, mate, which is great for the game, and it's if we can get two big brother, little brother, big sister, little sister competitions going between the Cowboys and the Broncos, between the two competitions, like the winner is rugby league, isn't it? So
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. We might move on to some extracurricular activities. Now, I
yeah,
will apologise to the thoroughbreds. Like I said, I am the least prepared that I've ever been for one of our podcasts. So, when it comes to the winners and losers of the tipping comps for both the men and the women, that's a little bit in the dark. I do know that we all received a crown because we all bet the same in the men's. However, I think it's you, Ringer, that came out on top with the women's. I think we all got three
yeah.
tips, and you ended up with five. So good effort, mate. That was your first winner too, I believe.
Oh, mate, you get from little things, big things grow, mate. You just got to put in the groundwork and figure out where you're at, and then just have a little crack.
That's it.
But
That's it.
Yeah, we all went the same for the men's, and that died, and very predictably, it died on the Thursday night. Like, isn't that just how things go? When oh yeah, we all agree on this. Fucking Tigers come from the clouds. Like,
Yep. Should have thrown a cheeky fiver on it.
yep, should have thrown probably 100. Actually, we'll do
Yeah.
that next time. When we all agree, we'll just go the opposite, and
Yep.
then
100%. All right. Anyway, we'll get to this. We'll get to this round's tipping when it comes to the men. So Langers and Gronk have sent theirs in, and I'll kick that off. So Langers has gone Cowboys, Bulldogs, Panthers, Dragons, Broncos, Sharks, Knights, and Roosters. The difference there, Gronk has a little bit of a different setup. He still thinks the Storm will get up over his little Cowboys.
okay,
He
that
has
does not
backed.
surprise.
Yeah, it's not really surprising. Bulldogs, Panthers. He's gone the Eels over the Dragons, so that's an interesting setup. But then he has back the Broncos, Sharks, Knights, and Roosters. So, what are you
Keep trying
on, mate?
for the men's, mate. Uh, I have to go the cows. I am torn on this. I am so torn because you know what Bellamy's like, and you know who's the next up for this. So, but I am going the cows purely because I have no fucking idea. Purely, actually, but I'm going the cows. I'm going the Seagulls actually to beat the Dogs. I think the Dogs have been up for so long. They weren't great against New Zealand, and
Yep.
there's one call in that game that we may get to. I'm not sure, but that could have actually sealed the game for the Warriors. So I'm going to Sea Eagles, who are looking to bounce back. Panthers will do a big job on the Rabbits. I've gone, and I know it helps us, and I know it might be wishful thinking, but I'm going the Eels over the Dragons. I think if the Eels put 60 minutes of that football that they played against us with the offloads and the hard running, I think they can do a number on the Dragons. I think the Dragons are in the same sort of position where they've been up for a while and they're starting to feel the pain of a long season. We're going to beat the Dolphins for 13 plus. Sharks are going to beat the Warriors. And this is the upset of the round. The Titans are going to beat the Knights.
Oh, okay. Getting risky.
As terrible as they were, as terrible as they were, it was all unforced error bullshit that stopped them from being competitive. Every
Yeah.
time they held the ball, they looked dangerous against the Roosters. Brian Kelly pushed Joey Manu off, which was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. Joey Manu doesn't get shrugged,
Yep.
and Brian Kelly shrugged him.
Yep.
So purely on that, I'm going the Titans because I'm terrible at the tipping anyway, and we're getting to the back end of the season. So, and then the Roosters are going to put 40 on the Raiders.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, I've gone Storm as well.
Okay,
I
okay,
can't see
okay.
it. Yeah, I can't see it happening. Now I've gone the Sea Eagles with you,
Oh,
and that's
don't
purely,
do that. Don't do it with me.
but that's purely because of the embarrassment that happened last week with the West
Yeah,
Tigers. I like
yeah.
I don't know what Seabell's like when it comes to that sort of stuff. He didn't really do well for us, so a little bit of the thorn in the side there. But yeah, that'll be an embarrassment. They'll want to right that wrong.
The Jaboyevich boys alone should push that, shouldn't they?
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
that's what I'm
So
bagging.
we'll see how they go there, but I'm backing them in. Panthers, I've got doing a job on the rabbits, and I'm with you with the eels. If anyone watched that game last week, the Dragons were fucking dog shit.
Yeah, they were.
And so the Eels have been putting it to teams, regardless of where they are on the ladder. They're just running out of that little bit of steam at the end there, and I don't think that the Dragons put up enough fight that they run out of steam.
Well, and this is my argument. So for the Eels, right? They went the Broncos and the Panthers.
Yep,
And you say, okay, in the last 2 weeks, would the Broncos and the Panthers beat the Dragons of the last 2 weeks? And you'd go, yes, by 100.
yep,
So why wouldn't the Eels have an absolute fucking field day
yep. Yeah.
Anyway, $2.40 thoroughbreds just for your viewing pleasure. I think we might have a little win there. And
Yeah.
it'd be great for us if they did. So we'll just
Yeah.
really jump on that.
Yeah, we'll back on that one. And then I've got Sharks, Knights, Roosters. So I just, as much as it'd
And
be
us. Did
great
you
for
go
the,
us?
hey,
Did you go Bronx?
yeah, I did. Yeah. Go on, Bronx.
Oh, you went the Knights. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I went to Knights. I just, as much as
That's
it'd be great
smart.
for us to, as much as it'd be great for us if the Titans did get up. I just think the Knights may have found something last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how that.
Oh, don't worry. Like the whole Titans tip for me is purely off fuckery.
Yeah,
And
but
then the only team that can create that sort of fuckery is a team where Jaden Campbell, Dave Fafita, Brian Kelly, Keanu Kinney all go fucking ham on the same night, and the Knights just don't turn up. And which would be great because I'd love to give it to the Knighted boys, but
the Knights have a very every chance of turning up and playing like the Dragons too. So
they have.
who knows? All
At
right.
$1.36, that's too short.
Yeah, true. All right, we'll move over to the women. Gronk's gone Titans, Eels, Knights, Cowboys, Roosters.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he's having a go at the head to head there with the Cowboys v Broncos, I think. He also thinks the Titans can upset the undefeated Sharks, so that's an interesting take. We'll see where that pans out. Langers has gone Sharks, Eels, Knights, Broncos, Roosters.
Yeah.
How are you seeing them?
Exactly the same as Langers, mate. Even though the Titans are $1.71 favourites, I'm going the Sharks. Have to go the Sharks. They're undefeated for a reason,
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm just trying to find now whether that half of their team has got COVID or something and they can't play because I can't understand why they're $2.15 outsiders
yeah, I don't understand that at all.
after we just give the Titan. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going the Sharks, Eels, Knights, Bronx, and Roosters. And if you're playing along at home, it'll be Roosters 13 plus, Broncos 13 plus, Knights 13 plus, Eels 1 to 12, and Sharks 1 to 12. So
Yep.
go with that, what you will.
Yeah, nice. I am running the exact same as you and Langers.
Yeah.
So Gronk's the standout here. He could either run away a hero or he could swallow down in the depths there. So, all right.
It's great to see the Broncos in second place on the ladder, mate, after such a slow fucking start. So,
Yep. It's crazy with the short
short year,
season
how
as well.
quickly things can get away, eh? Yeah,
Going from
exactly.
seventh to second is just incredible.
Yep.
Okay. Other extracurricular activities. Holy. For those following along at home, the panel here had an absolute one leg away from a belter of
Oh,
the weekend on a lot of bets. I'll get it up here so that we can run through them real quick.
I think we had something like a 58% leg win rate
Yeah.
so we won most of our bets without winning a bet, which is ridiculous.
Yep. So we didn't really have much luck in the Broncos game, but I believe there was one. So in the Knights, in the Seagulls v Tigers. So we had Manly head to head. Obviously, that went down with the Tigers upset.
Yeah.
We had Garrick as an any time, but we did get the Jason Saab, Tom Travojevic combined for 2+. So out of all all of those legs, we got the hardest.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we move on to the Bulldogs versus the Warriors. Now we got Canterbury head to head. We got a Jacob Kraz and we got a Stephen Crichton. We didn't get a Sean Johnson, which
That was my fault, but
no,
fuck.
that was no. You can't blame yourself for that, mate. That's NRL guys just playing an absolute fuckery on
Yeah,
everyone.
exactly. Fuck you. Four
Yeah,
legs that we got up. Boo.
yeah. Feel sorry for SJ. Sorry about that, mate. Then we roll over to the Broncos and the Eels. Now we got a Sevo pretty early
Yep.
on, so that was all good. And I don't know how close Dean Mariner got a few times there, but it would have been good if we did get him to cross, because that definitely would have been a 13 plus, and then we would have got that leg of that multi
Yeah, yeah.
as well. No luck at all on it's all red on the Raiders, Panthers.
Fuck the Raiders.
Yeah, fuck the Raiders.
Honestly,
We'll move
fuck the
on
Raiders.
from there. Storm v Dolphin. We got the Storm 13 plus. We didn't get a Pappy and we didn't get a Bostock, but we did get a Jack Howarth.
Yeah.
So we're
How
two
does
out of four
Pappy
for that
not
one.
score a try in a 44-point game? Honestly,
Yes.
fuck me dead.
Now this is where the tears really started to fly.
Mhm.
Rabbits v Knights, and this was a Gronk bet. So he got his Fletcher Sharp, combined with Fletcher Myers for one try, so that got up. He got his Dane Gagai, with his Dane Gagai Jacob Gagai matchup, and then out of the game that was, Kalen Ponga and Jai Gray both didn't find the try line once.
Ridiculous.
So that was the leg that we lost there. Um,
And that would have been the easiest leg ever. That would
yeah,
have been the first leg everyone puts on.
yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
Then we roll over to the Titans and Roosters. Roosters head to head, tick. AKP, tick.
Tick.
Daniel Tupu, tick. All the
Tick.
easiest legs, all let's go. Then we go to Jojo Fafita and Dominic Young, who both have been scoring for fun all season. And we had them to combine for 2+ tries, and only one of them crossed.
And Dom Young stood on the touch line by about his pinky toe,
Yeah.
which fucking got us so close to that. But anyway.
Yep.
Anyway, the week of bad beats, but we've got a couple. We're not giving up right until the grand final before this fucking leg for $1 million. We'll put 10 legs on each.
That's
We
it.
don't care.
That's it. And now the bad beat, the absolute bad beat of the weekend that topped it all
Oh,
was Langer's bet. He had Christian Tuapoloto. He had
Win.
Sam Stone Street. They all
Win.
got up. And then Ronaldo Mulatalo didn't actually start the game. And the bloke that they replaced him with crossed. So we had a voided bet there, which
Boo.
we'll have a bit of a rant. The betting platform that we do use needs to really step up when it comes to that sort of stuff and put something in place that if you do get a void, if a player doesn't take the field, you've got an option to swap out with the player that he's been replaced or get your bonus bet or your money back or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
we'll keep petitioning that until A, they either sponsor us, or B, they change it.
Yeah. Sponsor us and we will never speak another word of it. Fuck you. But it is wrong. It's bullshit because you're like, we do this on a Tuesday night, thoroughbreds, secretly on the side. Like, don't tell anyone. But we do all our bets and that off team lists. That's why we do it on a Tuesday night. So
Yeah.
Ronaldo in that bet, and it's salty bitch period. But I mean, some heads up when if your player isn't playing, when there needs to be something where it's like, okay, roll this over with the bloke that replaces him, or pay you back. Like, it's shit to get voided bets on stuff like that.
Or drop him out altogether. Just rearrange
Drop him
our
out
odds.
just drop him out altogether and play the shorter odds for the next two bets. Like, who gives a shit?
That's it.
Anyway,
That's it.
anyway, we won't dwell on it, even though we dwell on it a little bit.
All right, we'll move on to this week. We've got everyone's bets, so we'll just run through game 1 through to game 8. I've got game 1. So I've put a bit of a. I don't really
You're
know
in
what to do.
Tassie. You're
Yeah.
upside down.
I don't really know what to do with this one. So I've got a fail logo. I've got a Munster and a drink water. I've got all them. One of them will cross, right?
Yes.
Then I've got a Nanai, a Pappenhausen, and a Holmes. One of them will cross, sure.
Yes.
I've gone Melbourne Storm with a plus 12.5 line,
Yes.
and then I've gone under 52.5 points.
Yes.
That's getting me $5. There's a lot to go on, kind of there, but there really isn't. And $5,
That's
I
too
feel like
short.
it's pretty good.
It's too short for the amount that's going on, but when you actually think about it, it's not, because Melbourne aren't going to let tries in, and everyone that you've put together, No, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I reckon it's all right. we'll fly over to the Bulldogs and the Seagulls. I believe this is your game. Oh no,
No, not
no,
mine.
it's not. No, it's not. What we got here?
Okay.
Oh, it's the Gronk. It's
Don't
the
you put that head on me, Ricky Bobby?
Gronk. So Gronk's gone for try scorers. We've got Skelton, Hopperwade, and Preston, and that's getting him a healthy $17.75.
17. Skeleton.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that should be interesting. Um,
Go Gronk.
Panthers v Rabbits.
Yes, now we're talking. Now it is me.
What are we
So
doing?
this is an odd one, right? It's actually not odd. Sorry. So I'm going overs. It's going to be overs. 47.5 is the line. So
Yep.
it's going to be overs. Penrith 13 plus
Okay.
because obviously, and without Nathan, Jerome anytime. That should get you around 6-ish.
Jerome in time. Yep, $6 on the money. Nice.
Beautiful.
Take that. We move on to Eels and Dragons. We've got a Sevo. So
Who is this?
this is Langers. So he's going back to the trough a little bit because he's a bit sore after the last one. But he's got a Stevo. He's going back to Christian Tuapolotu. He's got a Zaki Lomax, and he's going unders 52.5. It's getting him $14.75.
Love that. $14 is good.
We should be combined, I reckon, this week with our odds. We should be pretty good for the road to $1 million, I reckon.
Oh yeah, we're back to the 1-2 cent. Fuck that 15-cent stuff. That's
Yeah, I know.
that's old news.
We'll go broke doing that stuff. So, Dolphins v Broncos.
Oh, thanks. That's back to me.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about betting with your heart instead of your head, and I've
Do responsibly.
taken that on board. So, Broncos 13 plus. Battle of Brisbane. It has to happen for us one time this year where we decide to fucking turn up and pump a team of losers.
Yep.
So this is this week. Hammer's going to score a try from an intercept or a kick reception or some ridiculous thing that he gets inside tipped on. That's just what's going to happen. But I'm going to wrangle a Stags. I'm wrangling a Stags because he is absolutely
He's
on
hot.
fire. And, you know, he might be playing Herbie and whatnot, but I don't care. And then I'm going to Jordan Ricky
Ooh.
because on that right side, or if they're all worried about Katoni, does Adam just slip a little shorty to Jordan and he goes inside someone like Tony Nicaragua's not playing, Sean O'Sullivan or someone and just crash over. So Brisbane 13 plus, Hammer anytime, Katoni anytime, Ricky anytime, should be getting me around 28 maybe.
I'm getting you 32.
Ooh!
Take that. Take that.
Call me daddy and talk to me tomorrow.
All right. We'll move on to the Sharks v Warriors. We've got... Is this Langers? I think it is.
I think it's Langers.
He's definitely going back to the well because he's got Sione Katoa, he's got Sam Street, and he's hoping for a Montoya.
Has he got Ronaldo in there?
He's been banished. $6.75.
Take it.
Nice
Every
little-
day.
Nice little odds.
That's
there.
a winner. That's a winner.
That's it.
All need a winner.
All right. Newcastle Knights, Gold Coast Titans. This is another
Gronk?
my little
Oh, is
my
this
little
yours?
bet there. Yeah. So I've gone back to my little A, B, or C to score a try. I've got Sammy, Keeney, or Kelly. Then for a little bit of a punch up in the boost in the odds and whatever, I've got an AKP, I've got a Bradman Best, and I've got a Fletcher Sharp, but I've got them to score 2 tries
Easy.
to combine for 2, and then I've gone under 50.5 points, and that actually gets me $5.50. So
That's yeah.
yeah, I think these two teams it's not going to be a shootout. clip that up, and then definitely go with the overs. But
Bro,
I feel like, it'll be a bit of a rough watch. So we'll see what happens there.
it's a game of the speeches.
Yeah,
This game could go. This could be the most entertaining game of the year.
yeah,
Literally, like there could be 120 points scored.
yeah.
We've got all the
Or there could be
flyers.
120 drop balls. So
Exactly, yeah, and it could be the shittest game anyone's ever watched.
yeah,
Like the glitter strip and the coal mining fuckwit. Like
yeah.
sorry, United boys.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry.
Roosters v the Raiders. So this has got Ricky upset written all over it, but still the Gronk has battled on. He's gone Dom Young, he's gone Tupu, and he's gone Manu for any time. So that's individual. They're going to score each of those guys, and then Sam Walker to score 10 plus points.
Okay.
$7.50. We're going with that one.
Jesus, Sam Walker to score 10 plus. So he's either got to kick 5 goals or score a try in 3.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. Could be.
That seems, that seems short odds, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Oh, yes and no. I reckon.
Yes, no, yeah.
So what have we
That's
got?
why they're betting companies, I suppose.
That's it. That's exactly it. So, Road for $1 million. If you want to combine all those and throw 1 cent on it, you're going to get just shy of $700,000.
Oh, 2 cents it is then. 1.8 cents. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. So, so that'll be good. That'll be good with that little get up. But hopefully we get a little bit more than one leg fails.
Surely something's going to come up. We've been so close. We've been knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Like I got one for that Broncos win. I think
Yeah, 3 rounds ago.
3 weeks ago, and like we've had probably 6 one-leg fails since then. So no,
Yep.
we must be due for a couple to come off.
We're getting close. We're getting close. So make sure you follow along to make sure you
Follow along.
when we do.
Penalty Broncos on all the platforms.
That's it. All right, we'll clap over to Gronk. He's got a special message for us this week.
Of course he does.
I think he's a bit salty, but we'll see.
Now look, does me doing that make me any more of a man or any better of a man? No, it doesn't. So the fact that you guys peg back a hefty lead from a wooden spoon contender and run over the top of them in the last half, that translates. So hope there hasn't been too much fart sniffing going on, right? Watching you. Bye.
Yeah, it's very fair until he gets pumped by the fucking Storm reserve grade team this weekend. Please, Storm, I don't care what we have to do as a podcast. I will sponsor the Storm for the rest of my life if they fucking pump the Cowboys this weekend, just so I can tell Michael he's fucking hopeless. Please.
Yeah, that definitely that reeks of that. It doesn't matter what you do, you know. When we went up there and pumped them in their backyard,
Yeah.
But it did matter. That reeks after the end of maybe 30 minutes on the punching bag out the back.
Bro, he says it doesn't matter. It does matter, and you know, it's good on him. Like we get lovely little fucking little clips of his thoughts at the minute, but you know what that is? He's terrified of us coming into that 8, and if we get into it, we could be playing them first week in a knockout. Terrified.
True.
Terrified. And the comp should be, because if we actually put shit together, we are literally the only team that can beat all the other teams. Like if the Dolphins get in, they're not beating anyone. Let's just be fucking honest. Like the Bronx get in and we get Payne and Reese back. what's the only team that can beat all the top 4 teams? It's us.
That's
Like,
it.
Raiders aren't doing it, Dolphins aren't doing it, fucking Titans aren't doing it. Like, and we aren't doing it either. But if we put it together, we know we can. So
Yeah.
it's going to be fun. And I love that little shit so much. But, oh,
As far
please,
sniffy
Melbourne.
as far
Please, Melbourne.
sniffy as what you just sounded, it's all facts, mate.
It is all facts. Oh, fart sniffy. Oh, bro.
Yeah, wafting.
Get it in my
wafting.
veins. Like, this is what we're making a podcast about the Broncos, and we haven't won a game since we started it. So, like,
Yeah,
sniff it.
let's go.
We're all good, bro.
All right. Thanks for listening ahead there, Thoroughbreds and Donkeys. That's all from us this week. It's going to be a bit quiet on the socials this week because I am out of town and out of action. But please don't stop that from sending it. Go over Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a comment, subscribe where you can. Do what you can, bet responsibly, be a contributor to society, stay out of one another unless it's consensual, and we'll gallop off into the week. Catch us later.
Thank you, Thoroughbreds. Get on there and give us a hand. Anything. Well, just one like. That'd be lovely. We love you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.